going to try to reload this one. Alright, this page is not working, so let me just read 62, 780, 680. Shit, let's try to increase the video. Alright, 62, 780, 680, no further action, no further action. Controls, risk management option level 1, no further action without institutional controls or without institutional engineering controls shall apply with the following conditions are met. Free product is not present fire exposure hazard exists with the result of the release of the non-aqueous phase liquids contaminated soil not present with the unsaturated demonstrated with the analysis oil samples collected for the representative sample location. Listed the department has concurred that the soil sample is unnecessary based on the site-specific conditions to show that one or more of the criteria for the direct exposure and one or more of the criteria of leachability are met. The applicable criteria for the direct exposure for the following soil contamination concentration, average soil with the contamination concentration calculated based on the 95% of the UCL approach, pursuant to subparagraph 62, 780, 681B and 1D. The Florida Administration Code does not exceed the list of stringent the resident soil cleanup target level specified in Chapter 6277 Florida Administration Code Table 3, except for that 95% of the UCL approach is utilized with any containment of the soil contamination concentration shall not exceed with the appropriate soil continuing target level pursuant to subparagraph 62, 780, 681B, 1D Florida Administration Code. The background concentration, the best achievable detection limits the soil contamination concentration, average soil contamination concentration calculated based on a 95% of the UCL approach pursuant to subparagraph 62, 780, 680, 1B, 1D do not exceed the alternative residential soil the cleanup target established using the site-specific soil properties pursuant to subparagraph 62, 780, 605 C2 Florida Administration Code. The equation the default of the residential exposure assumption chapter 62, 777 Florida Administration Code figures 4, 5, and 6 and 7 table 6 except for the 95% UCL approach for the utilized contaminant of the soil concentration should not exceed the appropriate soil cleanup target level calculated pursuant to subparagraph 62, 7, 60, 1B, 1D, Florida V5, Florida Administration Code soil concentration on the site of the soil concentration on site specific fraction of the TRPH established pursuant to subparagraph 62, 780, 605C on average soil concentration site specific fraction of the TRPH calculated based on 95% UCL approach pursuant to the subparagraph 62, 780, 680, 1B, 1D, utilizing the soil concentration of the site specific fraction of the TRPH established pursuant to subparagraph 62, 780, 605 C3 do not exceed the residential soil CTL with the THRP for actions provided with the Appendix C with the technical report reference in subsection 62, 780, 100 Florida Administration Code except for that the 95% of the UCL approaches utilized with any of the containment with the soil contamination concentration should not exceed the appropriation cleanup target level calculated pursuant to subparagraphs 62, 780, 680, 1B, and 1D Florida Administration Codes. If 95% of the UCL approach is utilized with the calculated average soil contamination concentration pursuant to subparagraph 62, 780, 680, 1B, 1A, 62, 780, 680, 1B, 1B, 62, 780, 68, 1B, 1C. Further, the technical report reference in subparagraph 62, 780, 780, 102. Florida guidance for the following information criteria shall be met. 1. The Florida UCL tool with approved statistical method pursuant to subsection 62, 780, 610 2 shall be used for performing the 95% of the UCL calculations. 2. The maximum soil contamination concentration not exceed with this cleanup target level based on the acute toxicity shall not exceed 3 times the applicable direct exposure soil cleanup target level based on the chronic toxicity pursuant to subparagraph 62, 780, 680, 1B, 1A, 62, 780, 680, 1B, 1B, 62, 780, 680, 1B, 1C Florida Administration Codes. The exposure unit shall not exceed 1/4 of an acre, shall not be located within the source of the property boundaries. A minimum of 10 representative soil samples are required for the Florida UCL tool is utilized. 5. If more than one contamination present with the soil unsaturated zone of the site, the soil cleanup target level of the contaminants detected with the sample shall be apportioned with the applicable level referred to the Appendix D with the technical report reference in subsection 62, 780, 102. Florida administration, with the guidance of proportioning soil cleanup target level criteria for the leachability as follows: soil contamination concentration does not exceed the list of stringent one background with the groundwater with the applicable source water leachability based on cleanup target levels specified in Chapter 62777 Florida Administration Codes, Table 3. The background concentration, the best achievable detection. B, the soil contamination concentration does not exceed the achievable leachability based on clean target levels established using equation default assumptions specified in Chapter 6277 and Figure 8 of the alternative groundwaters. Alright. Background concentration referred to subparagraph 62780, 6881 with CB and 1B Florida Administration Code. If applicable, alternative source of water cleaning target levels based on site-specific background concentration. You refer to subparagraph 62780, 681D and 2 Florida Administration Code. Direct leachability testing results pursuant to subparagraph 62780, 605C4 demonstrate leachability concentrations does not exceed the appropriate groundwater cleaning target level pursuant to paragraph 62780, 681C Florida Administration Codes. If applicable, appropriate surface water cleaning target level pursuant to paragraph 62780, 681D. Soil contamination concentration does not exceed the alternative leachability based on the cleanup target level established using the site-specific properties pursuant to the subparagraph 62780, 605C2. The equation appropriate default assumptions specified in Chapter 6277 Florida Administration Codes, Figure 8. Appropriate groundwater cleaning target level pursuant to paragraph 62780, 681C of the Florida Administration Codes. If applicable, appropriate surface water cleaning target level pursuant to paragraph 62780, 681D. Soil concentration site-specific fractions, TRPH, established pursuant to subparagraph 62780, 605 C3, does not exceed the leachability based on the cleanup target levels for the TRPH fractions approved by the exceed by the technical report reference in subsection 2C2, 62780, 102 for the Florida Administration Codes. For the soil that has exposed to the elements, open groundwater not covered the impermeable, semi-impermeable cover, this subject to the infiltration throughout the entire unsaturated zone with the minimum of 2 years. It has been subsequently demonstrated that the Department minimum of 1 year groundwater monitoring data that contamination will not leach into the groundwater concentration exceeded with an appropriate groundwater cleanup target level pursuant to 62, 681C. And if applicable, appropriate source of water cleanup target levels pursuant to paragraph 62, 681D, they demonstrate considered by the site-specific characteristic thickness of the unsaturated zone, depth of the mass of the soil contamination site, soil lithology, actual participation concentration gradients of the chemical physical characteristics of contaminations. C. Contaminated groundwater not present demonstrated in analysis of the groundwater sample collected with the representative location utilized by the department that has occurred with the groundwater sampling is unnecessary based on the site of specific conditions that show the criteria 1 and 2 met. 1. Groundwater contamination concentration does not exceed the stringent the groundwater cleanup target level specified in the Chapter 6277 Table 1 groundwater criteria column, except for the brownfields. The groundwater contamination concentration may exceed the groundwater cleanup target level derived in nuisance, organographic, organoleptic, or aesthetic consideration following additional criteria. 1. Concentration contaminates meet all applicable health-based groundwater cleanup target level provided by the Chapter 6277 Table 1 groundwater criteria column, Chapter 62780 Florida Administration Code, Table 5 F, located on the end of the Rule 62780 900 Florida Administration Code, if applicable, surface water cleaning target level pursuant to 62780 681D. For the person responsible for site rehabilitation, demonstrate the maximum of 1 year of groundwater monitoring data of the groundwater concentration property boundary will not exceed the groundwater cleanup target pursuant to subparagraph 62780, 680, 1C, and 1 or 2 Florida Administration Codes, if applicable, source of the surface of water cleanup target level pursuant to 62780, 681D. 3. The property that has access connected to the off-site water pipe, the domestic property with the private wells are not used for the domestic purpose. For the purpose of the rule of the domestic purpose means that the water is used for the human consumption such as baking, cooking, drinking, and provided through the pipe's construction conveyance. And 4. The real property owner is provided with the written and acceptance. No further action proposal. Department 1. The background concentration back achievable collection limitations. 2. Groundwater contamination concentration does not exceed the surface water cleanup target level specified in Chapter 6277 Florida Administration Code, Table Freshwater Surface Water Criteria column, marine surface water criteria as applicable as site groundwater contamination concentration are effect with the potential affect the surface water body, and based on the monitoring, will detect will well data groundwater flow direction and fate of the transportation model. Decontaminated surface water is non-present, demonstrated by the analysis surface water samples collected for the representative sample location unless the department has not concurred with the surface water sampling unnecessary based on the site-specific conditions to show the contamination concentration do not exceed the list of stringent applicable surface water cleaning target level specified in Chapter 6277. Florida Administration Code, Table 1, Freshwater Surface Criteria Column, the marine surface water criteria column, background concentration, the best achievable detection limits. E. Contaminated sediment is not represented by the demonstrated analysis of the sediment samples collected with the representative sample location unless the department has occurred with the sediment sample unnecessary based on the site-specific conditions. The concentration contamination sediment does not exceed the background concentrations. Alright. 2. The risk assessment optional level. No further action. Instrumental control of the, if appropriate, engineering control shall apply with the control of the protect the human health, positives, public safety, environmental, are agreed to by the current real property owner, the source of the property, subject to institutional engineering control of the fate of the transport modules defined in 62.7.86.10. Support the minimum 1 year monitoring data may be utilized and stressed, and no further action proposal. It shall be demonstrated that the department of the following conditions are met with contamination that do not meet the risk assessment at level 1 operate criteria with the subsection 62780-681. Free product non-present, no fire exposure hazard exists. Result of release of non-aqueous phase liquid free product removal technology feasible. B. Alternative soil cleanup target level has been established by the person responsible for site rehabilitation. One or more of the criteria for the direct exposure, one of the more criteria for the technical leachability are met for the soil unsaturated zone as applicable. Criteria for the direct is exposure flows. The soil contamination concentration, average soil contamination concentration calculated based on the 95% UCL pursuant to subparagraph 62780, 62B1E. The Florida Administration Code does not exceed the commercial and industrial cleanup target level specified in Chapter 62777 Florida Administration Code Table 2, except for the 95% UCL approach with utilized with any of the contamination in the soil contamination concentration should not exceed the proportion site of the cleanup target level calculated pursuant to subparagraph 6278682B1EV5. B. Engineering control of the preventing human exposure. For the example, the permit covered the minimum of 2 feet with the soil implemented in in which case the contamination concentration of the soil below the permanent cover of the 2 more feet below the level landed surface exceed the direct exposure for the cleanup target. Part of the department approval with no further action. Engineering control and the person responsible for site rehabilitation provided with the certification registered professional engineer the best of his or her knowledge of the engineering control consistent with the commonly accepted engineering practices appropriately designed, constructed, but intended has been implemented. C. The soil contamination concentration average. The soil contamination concentration calculated based on the 95% approach of the pursuant subparagraph 62780-682B with 1E for the Administration Code does not exceed the alternative commercial and industrial cleanup target level unit using site-specific soil property pursuant to subparagraph 62780-605C. E. The equation of the default commercial industrial exposure assumption is specified in 6277 figures 4, 5, 6, and 7 table 6, except that a 95% UCL approach for the utilized with the contaminated soil contamination concentration should not exceed the appropriated soil cleanup target levels pursuant to the subparagraph 62780-682B1EV4 5 Florida Administration Codes. Soil concentration site specific fraction of the TRPH is established pursuant to subparagraph 62780-605C3 for the average soil contamination concentration site specific fraction of TRPH calculated based on the 95% UCL approach pursuant to subparagraph 62780-682B1E utilizing the concentration of the site specific fraction of TRPH's established pursuant to subparagraph 62780-605C3 does not exceed this commercial industrial cleanup target level for the TRPH's fractions are provided with the Appendix C of the technical report reference in 62780-102 except for the 95% UCL utilized any contaminated the soil contamination concentration does not exceed the appropriated cleanup target level calculated pursuant to the subparagraph 62780-682B1E Florida Administration Code. If 95% of the UCL approaches utilize calculated average soil contamination concentration pursuant to subparagraph 62780-682B1A, 6780, 6080, 2B1, 62780, 6080, 2B1D. Refer to the technical report reference in subsection 62780, 102. Filter administration code for the guidance for the following criteria meet. Alright, 1. The Florida UCL tool and other approved statistical methods pursuant to subparagraph 62780, 610, 2 shall be used to perform the 95% UCL calculations. 2. The maximum soil contamination concentration shall not exceed 3 times the applicable soil cleaning target level pursuant to subparagraph 62780, 682, B1A, C, then D, Florida Administration Code. The purpose, the exposure unit shall be located within the source of the property boundaries, reflect normal activity patterns of existing commercial industrial land use with supporting institutional control. The institutional control shall require calculation of 95% of the property subdivided in land use such as the exposure utilized with the original calculation longer appropriation. 4. The minimum of 10 representative soil samples required for the Florida UCL tool were utilized. 5. The more than one contaminant represented for the soil unsaturated zone at the site with the cleanup target level. All contamination directed with the sample to the site in proportion of applicable to refer to Appendix D with the technical report reference in subsection 62780, 102 for the guidance for the appropriation of soil cleanup target levels. Criteria for the leachability is follows. Soil contamination concentration does not exceed the alternative leachability based on the soil cleanup target levels established using equation default assumptions specified in Chapter 62777, Figure 8, and alternative groundwater 62 cleanup target level for deriving pursuant to this paragraph 62780, 682C Florida Administration Codes. If applicable, the appropriate surface water cleanup target level pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 681D in Florida Administration Codes. Alright, direct leachability testing resulting from paragraph 62, 780, 605C, and 4, the Florida Administration demonstrates the leachability concentration does not exceed the alternative groundwater cleanup target level established pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 682C, and if applicable, the appropriate surface water cleanup target level pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 681D. An engineering control that prevents infiltration, for example, the permanent impermeable cover material implemented with the case of contamination concentration soil impermeable cover may exceed the leachability based on the cleanup target levels prior to the Department of Approval with no further action, but the engine controlled person responsible for the site rehabilitation provides certification registered professional engineer that the base for his or her knowledge that engineering control is inconsistent with the commonly accepted engineering practices. If appropriate, designated construction for the intended purpose that is implemented, it shall be demonstrated that the department minimum of 1 year groundwater monitoring data for the contamination will not leach into the groundwater concentration exceeding with the appropriate groundwater cleanup target level with the paragraph 62, 780, 681C. If the groundwater is already contaminated, if the concentration exceed alternative groundwater cleanup target level pursuant to the paragraph 62, 780, 682C, Florida Administration Code, if applicable, appropriate surface water cleanup target level pursuant to the paragraph 62, 780, 681D, Florida Administration Codes. The soil contamination concentration does not exceed alternative leachability based on the cleanup target level established using specific soil pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 605C. On the equation appropriate with the default assumption specified in Chapter 6277 of the Florida Administration Code, Figure 8, alternative groundwater cleanup target level established pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 682C, Florida Administration Code, F applicable appropriate surface water, the cleanup target level pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 681D, Florida Administration Code. Soil concentration on specific fractions of the TRPH established pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 605C3 does not exceed alternative leachability based on cleanup target levels for the TRPH fraction established with the equation assumption that's specified in Chapter 62, 777, Figure 8, chemical physical parameters provided with Appendix C of the technical report reference in subsection 62, 780, 100. 2. Florida Administration Code, the alternative groundwater cleanup target of TRPH established pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 680. Florida Administration Code, if applicable, the appropriate surface water cleanup target for the TRPH pursuant to the paragraph 62, 780, 681. Florida Administration Codes. If it has been demonstrated that the department minimum of 1 year groundwater monitoring data, if applicable, the fate of the transportation moduling and the result of the based upon the site specific condition containment will not contain leach into the groundwater at concentration that exceed the appropriate groundwater cleanup target levels established pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 681C, or if the groundwater is already contaminated, the concentration exceed with the alternative groundwater clean target established pursuant to the paragraph 62, 780, 682 62C Florida Administration Codes, if applicable, the appropriate surface water cleanup target level pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 680, 1D Florida Administration Codes. Alternative groundwater cleanup target level has been established by the person responsible site rehabilitation, depending on the current project of the groundwater vicinity of the site, with one or more of the following criteria that is applicable. For contamination of groundwater, low yield, the poor quality of the control target level specified in Chapter 6277 of Florida Administration Code table, the groundwater, low yield, property, poor quality criteria of the columns shall apply with the groundwater within property damage boundaries, provided that has been demonstrated with the department minimum of 1 year groundwater monitoring with the groundwater contamination concentration boundaries will not exceed the appropriate groundwater cleanup target specified subparagraph 62780 681C 1 Florida Administration Code. The plumbing is not affected with the effect of the freshwater marine surface water bound pursuant to paragraph 62780 681C 2. An engineer's control prevents mitigation with the plumbing. For example, the permanent contamination of such a barrier wall is implemented with the demonstrated department minimum of 1 year groundwater monitoring data. Groundwater and contamination concentration property boundary does not exceed the appropriate cleanup target level specified in paragraph 62, 780, 681. Cleanup target CL1. C1 Florida Administration Code, that plumb has not been affected will not affect the freshwater marine surface water pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 681 C2. The periodic monitoring with engineering control of the person responsible for site rehabilitation required to verify the effectiveness of engineering control preventing mitigation of the plumb of the person responsible for site rehabilitation. Report department any failures to engineering control to prevent mitigation for the plumb of the 30 days discovery of a failure prior to the department approval. No further action with the engineering control of the person responsible for site rehabilitation provided certification by a registered professional engineer that to the best of his or her knowledge the engineering control is consistent with the commonly accepted engineering practices appropriately designed, constructed, and intended for the purpose that has been implemented. 3. Groundwater contamination affecting more potentially affected with only marine surface water body with no further properties fresh water surface water bodies between the source property boundary and the marine surface water body with the cleaning up target level specified in Chapter 62777 Table 1. Marine surface water criteria column should apply with the groundwater contamination contained with the property boundary limited with the immediate vicinity of the source of the area. The groundwater contamination with less than 1/4 of an acre was demonstrated with the department by 1 year groundwater monitoring and data if applicable to the transportation model result. The groundwater contamination not migrating away from the such localized source area. The plumb is stable and shrinking, has not been affected and will not affect the freshwater marine source or if its water body pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 681 C2. Alternative groundwater cleaning up targets shall be established using the monitoring data of the applicable monitoring model results. Alright, C. The risk of management option level. No further action with the instruction controls if needed with the appropriate engineering controls shall apply with the controls protective of human health and public safety, environmental, and are agreed to be agreed by current real property owner if all the property is subject to the institutional engineering controls. Alternative cleanup targets have been in limitation to the use by the MES being used in conjunction with institutional controls to ensure that limited land is used upon the exposure duration frequency assumption where based on the result remains a perpetual until the person responsible for the rehabilitation information department has supported the removal of the modification institutional controls. The person responsible for the site rehabilitation must also use a scientific studies report to support no further action proposal without institutional controls using subsection. Personnel must be maybe request based on information containment, toxicity, carcinogenicity, provided with information consistent with the requirements of paragraph 62780, 651B2. Florida Administration Code proposal for no further action without controls may be also based on the information on non-site specific exposure provided with the information consistent with the requirements of the subparagraph 62780, 651A, 4B. Fate and transportation modules defined in 62780, supported by the manual minimum of 1 year monitoring data would be utilized to justify the no further action proposal demonstrated to the department following conditions are met with the contaminant agents that do not risk management option level 1 2 criteria subsection 62780 681 and 62780 682. Free product and non-present with no fire exposure hazards exist with the result of the release of non-aqueous phase liquid and free product removal of non-technologically feasible B. Alternative soil cleanup target level has established by the person person responsible for site rehabilitation following the criteria that are met with the soil unsaturated zone. Soil contamination concentration, average soil contamination concentration calculated based on 95% UCL approach pursuant to subparagraph do not exceed the alternative direct exposure cleanup target level established pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 651D. If more than one contamination is present within the soil unsaturated zone, is at the site the cleanup target level for all the contamination detected in soil samples that shall be apportioned as applicable. They refer to Appendix D with the technical report reference to subject 62, 780, 102 for the guidance of appropriation cleanup target level. If 95% of the UCL approach is utilized to calculate average soil contamination concentration pursuant to the subparagraph, refer to the technical report reference in subsection 62, 780, 102 for administration codes. With the following criteria shall be met: the Florida UCL for the two other approved statistical method pursuant to 62, 780, 610, 2 shall be used for the minimum perform 95% of the UCL calculations. Maximum soil contaminant concentration should not exceed 3 times the applicable soil cleanup target level or portion pursuant to subparagraph 62, 780, 683B. 1. If applicable, higher maximum soil contamination concentration may be utilized provided with the maximum concentration addressed with the potential risk based on exposure contamination, which may cause acute toxicity, potentially direct contact with exposure that is not equal to random. C. The exposure unit shall reflect normal activity pattern for the existing land use supporting institutional controls exposure until it exceeded 1/4 of an acre. The installation control shall require recalculation of 95% of the UCL of the property subdivided with the land use change for the exposure utilized with the original calculation no longer appropriate. 2. One or more of the following criteria of leachability or more is applicable. 1. Soil concentration do not exceed the alternative leachability based on cleanup target levels established for the alternative ground cleanup target levels derived and pursuant to 62, 780, 683C for the Florida Administration Code. If applicable, the appropriate surface level cleanup target level pursuant to 62, 780, 681D. Direct leachability testing result when pursuant to subparagraph 62, 780, 605C, but demonstrate the leachability concentration does not exceed alternative groundwater cleanup target levels established pursuant to 62, 780, 683C. If the applicable appropriate surface water cleanup target level pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 681D, Florida Administration Codes. An engineering control preventing infiltration, for example, the permanent impermeable cover the material implemented with the case of the contamination concentration from the soil below the impermeable cover may be exceeded with the leachability base and the cleanup target level. Part of the department approval with no further action with the engineering control person responsibility site rehabilitation provided with the certification registered. Prior to the department approval with no further action, engineering control, registered professional engineering that the best for his or her knowledge engineering control is inconsistent with commonly accepted engineering practices and appropriate design construction intended purpose that has been implemented shall be demonstrated with the department minimum of 1 year of the groundwater monitoring data. The contaminations will not leak with the groundwater concentration that exceed the appropriate groundwater cleanup target level established pursuant to this paragraph 62, 780, 681C. Florida Administration Codes. If the groundwater is already contaminated with the concentration that exceed the alternative groundwater cleanup target level pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 683C, if applicable, the appropriate surface water cleanup target level pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 681D. Soil contamination does not exceed the alternative leachability based on the soil. The cleanup target level established use of the specific pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 605C2 for Administration Code equation the appropriation default assumption specified in the Chapter 6277 Figure 8 alternative groundwater cleanup target level established pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 683C Florida Administration Code if applicable appropriate surface water cleanup target level pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 681D. Soil concentration on site-specific fraction of the TRPH established pursuant to subparagraph 62, 780, 605C3. Florida Administration Code do not exceed alternative leachability based on cleanup target level. TRPH for actions established with the equation default assumption specified in paragraph chapter 62.7.2.7.7 figure 8. Chemical physical parameters provided with the appendix C with the technical report reference in paragraph 62.780.102 for the alternate ground cleaner target level TRPH established pursuant to paragraph 62.780.683C. For applicable appropriate surface level, the cleanup target level for the TRPH pursuant to paragraph 62.780.681D. For the Florida administration codes. If it has been to demonstrate minimum of 1 year of the groundwater boundary data, but if applicable, the fate of the transportation module based on the site-specific conditions. Condition contaminants will not leach into the groundwater. A concentration exceeding with the alternative groundwater cleanup target level established in paragraph 62.780.683C, the Florida Administration Code, if the applicable, the appropriate surface water cleanup target level pursuant to paragraph 62.780.681D. For the administration, alternative groundwater cleanup target has been established by a person on site responsibility depending on the current project or the use of the groundwater vicinity of the site following the criteria groundwater contamination concentration does not exceed the alternative groundwater cleanup target level established pursuant to paragraph 62.780.651D. Appointed a portion, if applicable, to appendix E with the technical report reference in subsection 62.780.102 for the guidance from the apportionation groundwater cleanup target level for the plume has not affected and will not affect the freshwater marine surface of the water body pursuant to paragraph 62.780.681C2. For the administration code, it has been demonstrated that the Department of minimum of 1 year groundwater monitoring data, if applicable, the fate of the transportation modeling result with the plume of the stable shrinking groundwater contamination concentration, institutional country boundary will not exceed the appropriate groundwater cleanup target level pursuant to 62.780.681C for the administration code. If applicable, the appropriate surface water cleanup target level pursuant to 62.780.681D for the administration codes. Unless no further action proposal included with the site assessment report pursuant to paragraph 62.780.608B for the administration code risk assessment pursuant to the paragraph 62.780.654A for the administration code site rehabilitation completion pursuant to subsection 62.780.690.10, 62.780.756. The person responsible for site rehabilitation shall submit the department for review electronic paper copy of no further action proposal with the criteria no further action have been met. No further action proposal shall include the tables pursuant to the subparagraph 62.780.600A and A, 8A27 updated as applicable to prior approval to no further action proposal. Institutional control, engineering control, accompanied with the institutional control documentation agreement with the real property owner. All properties subject to institutional engineering controls and submitted in the department. Alright, 5. The department provided with the persons responsible for site rehabilitation completion order that approved no further action proposal, notify the person or site responsible for rehabilitation writing staff for reason no further action proposal does not contain information adequate to support the completion applicable no further action criteria of Rule 62.780.680 have been met. Site rehabilitation activities shall not be completed until such time the no further action proposal is approved. If no further action proposal is incomplete in respect of the deficient satisfy objective of the subsection 62.780.681, 62.780.682, 62.780.683, the department shall inform the person responsible for site rehabilitation pursuant to 62.780.680.5B. The basis of the rejection determination insufficient, including the technical scientific basis for any such rejection. Person responsible for site rehabilitation shall submit the department over the review electronic paper copy for the revised no further action proposal to address the deficiency within 30 days after the receipt of the notice. Deficiencies are not timely corrected, but cannot be corrected with the person responsible for site rehabilitation. The department review the appropriate electronic paper, the copy of the natural initiation monitoring plan with the Rule 62.780.690, electronic paper copy of the remedial action plan pursuant to 62.780.700 with a 60-day after the receipt of notice. When no further action proposal is approved with the paragraph 62.780.609A and 62.780.655A1 for the administration code, paragraph 62.780.685A and 62.780.690.11A, 62.780.757A, the site rehabilitation completion order shall contain a minimum of the following information. A, the facility identification number of the Florida Department of Environmental or U.S. Environmental Protection Agency track number as applicable identified with the property where the source is of the contaminated site is or where is located. The site street address with the property where the source contaminated site is or was located with the department of the date of the discharge if known with the result of the contaminated site. D, the reference of the attached map of the legal description that depicts the described contaminated site for the site rehabilitation completion order is being issued. E, the most recent tables generated the person responsible for site rehabilitation pursuant to paragraph 62, 78, 78, 780, 600, 8A, 27, subsection 62, 780, 654, 62, 780, 684, 684, 62, 780, 690, 10, 62, 780, 756. If applicable, reference to the engineering institution control with the implemented contained with the site for the engineering control tab, brief description of physical control. Maintenance monitoring requirements shall be included with the institutional control. A copy of the restrictive of the covenant, including the reference of the book page, the numbers recorded, shall be attached. If applicable, the statement of the site rehabilitation completion order conditions upon such engineering institutional control being effective, properly maintained, remaining in the place. Applicable, the following statement shall be included: the real property, other properties to remove the institutional controls and engineering controls. The real property owners shall be obtained prior in approval of the department from the department. The removal of the controls shall be accompanied immediately with the resumption of the site rehabilitation, implementation of other removed controls unless determined by the department that the criteria of section 62, 780, 681 are met. The statement of the site rehabilitation completion order is subject to specific statutory reopeners. Listing of those reopeners found in section 376307001. 4. Prior to the department approval, no further action proposal with the institutional controls of the institutional engineering controls of the person responsible for site rehabilitation provide constructive notice of the department intent with such approval in accordance with the subsection 62, 780, 220. 7. The site rehabilitation completion order shall constitute the final agency acting as regarding the cleanup activities of the site. Rulemaking Authority 376303, 3763071, 376307001, 3763078, 4, 37681, 4036061, 4030877, Florida Law Implemented 376307, 376307001, 3763078, 4, 37681, 40877, Florida History News, April 17, 2005, amended June 12, 2013, February 4th, 2014. Alright, natural 780 site control, contaminated site cleanup criteria. Natural intrusion monitoring. Natural intrusion monitoring is allowable for storage and the site rehabilitation depending on the individual site characteristics provided by the human health, public safety, and environmental protection. The individual site characteristics may include the current projected use of the effective groundwater, surface water, and vicinity with the site of the current project of land, use of the effective area, contamination, exposed population, location, plumbing, the degree of the extent of the contamination rate of the migration plumbing, the apparent potential rate of degradation, contamination through the natural attention, the potential further mitigation relation with the site property boundary with the fate and transport models been defined with the Rule 62, 780, 610, but may be utilized in the support of the appropriation of the natural intrusion monitoring. Natural intrusion monitoring is allowable to provide the following criteria that met. A free product is not present with a free product. The removal is not technologically feasible or no feasible explosive hazard exists as a result of the release of non-aqueous phase liquid. B, the contaminated soil is not present in unsaturated zone except for the applicable leachability base. Soil cleanup target levels may be exceeded with the demonstrated the department of the soil does not constitute the continuing surface of contamination with the groundwater concentration with the pose, the threat of the human health and the public safety. The environmental demonstrate that the natural intrusion contamination of groundwater, except with the rate of the contamination and leaching from the soil, the determination shall be based on the individual site characteristics demonstrated by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Test Method 1312, SPLLP, U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Test Method 1311, CCLP, the contamination derived with the use of the oil, similar petroleum products filled, all by appropriate analysis of leachate grains from the groundwater modeling, site stratigraphy, site assessment results, contamination contamination present with the groundwater above the background with contamination applicable to cleaning tower is not migrating beyond the temporary point of the compliance mitigation vertically will contaminate the aquifer surface water result in increased site rehabilitation. The available data shown an overall decrease in contamination. One of the following is met. The site anticipated with the meter applicable for no further criteria. Rule 62, 780, 680 for administration code as a result. Natural attenuation 5 years. The background concentration applicable for the cleanup total is no exceeded with the temporary point of the compliance establishment pursuant to subsection 62, 780, 690, and 2 and 63. Contamination concentration do not exceed the criteria specified in chapter 62, 777 Florida Administration Code, Table 5. If the criteria subparagraph in 62, 780, 690, 1F1 Florida Administration Codes are not appropriate enough, and natural attention monitoring may be demonstrated. The following technical evaluation: groundwater, soil characteristics, chemical, biological activity verifies the contamination of the capacity degraded with the site specification conditions. The list of the site specific conditions, geographical parameters are applicable, provided with the chapter 62 Florida Administration Codes. Site-specific scientific evaluation, historical modeling result with the appropriate model but the use of the demonstrated to be appropriate with the site condition flow mitigation relationship with the temporary point of the compliance established pursuant to the subsection 62, 780, 690, and 62, 780, 693. The estimation expected annual reduction of contamination concentration monitoring wells. The estimation time required for the meeting of the applicable no further action criteria 62, 780, 680. For available technical information, including the historical water quality, should be used with the model calibration, life cycle cost analysis, remedial alternatives provided with the human health and public safety, environmental protected with the point of compliance may be temporarily provided moved from the source of contamination. Location of the temporary point of the compliance shall be based on the individual site characteristics listing subsection 62, 780, 691A Florida Administration Code. The point of the compliance may be temporarily moved with the property boundary of the edge of the plumb, but the plumb is whether the property boundary will clean up, including the cleanup of the natural attenuation process of the conjunction with the appropriate monitoring of the process is proceeded. Temporary point of compliance may exceed the beyond the property boundary would accompany the monitoring if such extension needed facility monitoring natural attention to address the current conditions of plumb provided by the human health, public safety, environmental protected with the point of the compliance is proposed but the temporarily extended beyond the property boundary cannot be extended further to the lateral extent with the plumb at the time of the execution of the cleaning agreement document if known, but the lateral extension of the plumb is defined with the time of the approved site assessment prior to the Department of Authorization temporary extension of the point of compliance beyond with the property boundary. The person responsible for site rehabilitation provide the notice of the property to the commitment pursuant to this paragraph subsection 62, 780, 220, this pursuant to subsection 62, 780, 224. The additional notice concerning with the status natural attenuation process shall be similar provided with every 5 years the person receiving the notification pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 692C Florida Administration Codes. Where surface waters may be exposed to contaminated with groundwater based on the monitoring well data of the groundwater flow, with the rate of the direction of the phase of the transportation model, the point of the measuring compliance with the surface water standards shall be in a groundwater landward side immediately adjacent to the surface water bother than criteria subsection 62, 780, 69, 0, Florida Administration Code, natural attenuation monitoring plan pursuant to subsection 62, 780, 698, may be submitted within less than the natural attenuation monitoring plan is included with the site assessment report paragraph pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 608, B2, in the risk assessment report pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 650. 4B, the Florida Administration Code, the person responsible for site rehabilitation should submit the Department with a real electronic paper copy of the natural attenuation monitoring plan. 5. The Department shall provide the person responsible for site rehabilitation written approval of the natural attenuation plan, but to notify the person responsible for the writing of the stating the reason for the natural attenuation monitoring plan does not contain information that adequate to support conclusion of applicable natural attenuation monitoring criteria. Rule 62, 780, 690 for that have been met. 6. The natural attenuation monitoring plan is incomplete with respect to insufficient to satisfy the criteria subsection 62, 780, 691. The Department shall inform the person responsible for site rehabilitation pursuant to paragraph 62, 780, 695B Florida Administration Code. The person responsible for site rehabilitation shall submit the Department with a real electronic paper copy revising natural attenuation monitoring plan with address the deficiency with 30 days after the receipt of the deficiency or not timely corrected with the person responsibly shall appropriately continue the implementation and approve the remedial action plan submitted to the Department of Review and an electronic paper copy of the remedial action plan pursuant to Rule 62, 780, 700 Florida Administration Code within 60 days after the receipt of the notice. 7. If the National Nutrition Plan meets the criteria of subsection 6278-780-691 with the National Nutrition Monitoring Plan shall be issued, the objective monitoring plan shall be meet the applicable no further action criteria of 6278-680. Alright, 8. The monitoring program shall be performed as specified in National Nutrition Monitoring Plan approvals. Minimum of 2 monitoring wells is required. At least one of the wells shall be located with the down gradient edge of the plumb. At least one well should be located with the area of highest ground contamination directly adjacent with the area with the highest ground contamination accessible. For example, the under a structure, the designated monitoring well should be sampled and analyzed to applicable contamination no more further than frequently specified in Natural Nutrition Monitoring Plan approval. Water level measurements are designated with a piezo meter shall be made with the 24 initiating each sample event. Within the time frame specified in the table, located at the end of the Rule 62-780-900 Florida Administration Code and the cleanup agreement documentation, the person responsible for site rehabilitation submit the department for review electronic paper copy of the National Nutrition Monitoring Plan. The report shall include the analytical result, laboratory report, chain of the custody record form 62-780-902, for equivalent chain of the custody that includes the items that are required of the 62-780-902. Table's result. Tables required pursuant to subparagraph 62-780-608A 27 Florida Administration Code applicable to site maps illustrated with the analytical result and type water level evaluation information summary table of flow map. If analyzed, the groundwater sample indicates the concentration of the applicable contamination exceed the action and level specified in the Natural Nutrition Monitoring Plan. Wells shall be resampled no later than 30 days after the initial positive result known. If the result of the resampling confirmed with the applicable action level exceeded the monitoring report referenced in paragraph 62-780-90 088D shall be signed and sealed with an appropriate registered professional pursuant to Rule 62-780-400 shall include the proposal to perform a supplemental site assessment, submit the supplemental site assessment report pursuant to 62-780-600 Florida Administration Code, continue the implementation of the approved natural attention monitoring plan, and prepare submittal remedial action plan pursuant to paragraph Rule 62-780-700 as specified with the approved natural attenuation monitoring plan. Analytical data shall be evaluated in reference to the expected reduction, contamination, concentration monitoring plans well pursuant to paragraph 62-780-691F1 Florida Administration Forward for subparagraph 62-780-691F2B Florida Administration Code. If verify the progress of the site rehabilitation, natural attention, and rate of the expected cleanup of the progress and achieved with the NAT monitoring report with the reference to paragraph 62-780-698D shall be signed and sealed with appropriate registered professional pursuant to paragraph Rule 62-780-400 shall include the proposal performing the supplemental site assessment. Submit the supplemental site assessment report pursuant to 62-780-600 Florida Administration Code. Continue implementation and approve the Natural Attenuation Monitoring Plan prepared the submitted with the remedial action plan pursuant to Rule 62-780-700 Florida Administration Code. The Natural Attenuation Monitoring Plan follows the site assessment. Minimum of the 2 sample events is required. Site rehabilitation should be considered completely. No further action. Report criteria subsection 62-780-680, 62-780-682, 62-780-683 have been met with the 2 consecutive sampling. Natural attenuation monitoring follows the active remediation. Minimal of the 4 sample events required for the site rehabilitation shall be considered complete with no further action criteria of subsection 62-780-681, 62-780-682, 62-780-683 has been met for at least 2 of the sample events if the soil contamination represents the beginning of the monitoring event program. Prior to the submitting of the site rehabilitation completion of the soil samples shall be collected as appropriate location depth and analyzed with the applicable contamination demonstrated with the department and applicable to cleanup target levels are met. 9. If during the implementation National Attention Monitoring Plan the person responsible for site rehabilitation submit the department for the review of the remedial action and pursuant to subsection 62-780-700C to enhance the natural attenuation process, remedial action plan approved with natural attention monitoring shall be suspended during the implementation enhancement of the person responsible for site rehabilitation perform the active remediation monitoring pursuant to the act approved remedial action plan. 10. When the natural tuition monitoring plan is complete with the performance of paragraph 62, 780, 698G, Florida Administrative Code, with the time of the frame specified in Table A of the computer clean or the cleanup agreement document, person responsible for site rehabilitation submit the Department Review electronic paper copy of the site rehabilitation completion order with no further action proposal. Site rehabilitation completion report shall be included with the documentation required in paragraph 62, 780, 690D, 8D to support opinion with the site cleanup objectives have been achieved. The department shall provide the person responsible for site rehabilitation with the site rehabilitation completion order reference in subsection 62, 780, 687, and that approves the rehabilitation completion report with no further action proposal. B. Notify the person responsible for site rehabilitation writing stating the region of the site rehabilitation completion order does not contain the information adequate to support the opinion of the cleanup activities have been achieved. The site rehabilitation activities shall not be denied completed such that the site rehabilitation completion report no further action proposal approved. If the site rehabilitation completion is incomplete in any respect insufficient to satisfy the objective subsection 62, 780, 690, 10 Florida Administration Code, the department shall inform the person responsible for site rehabilitation pursuant to paragraphs 62, 780, 690, 11B Florida Administration Code, to the person responsible for site responsibility rehabilitation shall submit the Department with the review electronic paper of the revised site rehabilitation completion order report that the address of deficiency at 30 days after the receipt of the notice the deficiency is not timely corrected and cannot be connected with the person responsible for site rehabilitation shall assume the assumption implementation of the approved natural tuition monitoring plan within 30 days of the receipt of the notice. Alright, 13. The Brownfield site rehabilitation completion order shall contain with the following statement as applicable based upon the information provided with the real property owner concerning the property located in insert address the opinion of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection that the party has successfully satisfactorily implemented and approved the Brownfield site rehabilitation agreement scheduled with apparently accordingly no further action is required to assure that the land use and identified with the Brownfield site rehabilitation agreement is consistent with the existing proposed real property owner of proposed purposes removal installation engineering control of real property owner shall obtain the prior approval of the department. The removal of the controls shall become the immediate resumption of the site rehabilitation and implementation of other approved controls unless the criteria of subsection 68780 681 are met with the site rehabilitation completion order shall constitute the final agency action regarding the cleanup activities at the site. Rulemaking Rule Authority 376303, 376307, 3763071, 3763078, 37681, 403061, 403087, Florida Law Implemented 3763071, 3763071, 3763078, 3763081, 403887, Florida State History News, April 17th, 2005, amended June 12th, 2013. That's 690.